The morning air felt cold as Armin walked along the empty road with his old backpack hanging from one shoulder and a quiet hope growing in his heart. He had spent many nights trying to find a way to build a better life for his little daughter Mira, who waited at home with wide eyes full of trust. Armin worked simple jobs and fixed small machines when someone needed a helping hand, but the money never seemed enough. Still he kept trying, as he always promised Mira that one day her life would feel safe and bright. That day he walked toward the edge of town where an old garage stood silent and forgotten. People often joked that the place had only rats and mold inside and nothing more. Armin had passed by it many times but never thought much about it, since it looked broken with its roof bent in two places and its windows covered with dust thick enough to hide any sign of life. Last week he saw a tiny notice posted on a board outside a repair shop. The owner of the abandoned garage was moving away and wanted to sell the place for a very low price. Armin felt a sudden spark, then, since he always dreamed of running his own small workshop where he could fix cars or bikes and earn enough to give Mira a good life. He gathered every small saving he had and even sold a few tools he rarely used. When he counted the money, he realized he had just enough to buy the garage if the owner accepted cash. With shaking hands he met the owner, who seemed tired and eager to let go of the property. The man warned Armin that the garage was in very bad shape and had nothing useful inside. Armin nodded, since he already knew he would have to clean it for days before feeling comfortable. After signing the papers, he walked toward the building with a small heavy key in his palm, and a feeling of fear mixed with excitement rising inside him. The big metal door made a long sad sound when he pulled it open. Dust rose like a thin cloud, and the smell of time hit him so strong that he stepped back for a moment. The ground felt soft in some places where water had leaked through the roof and left dark patches. The walls showed marks of years without care, and he could hear tiny feet rushing across the floor, which confirmed the rumors about rats. Still he smiled, because this place now belonged to him, and he imagined Mira running inside one day, happily calling his name. He opened the windows to let fresh air move through the space, and then took a deep breath as he started looking around. He noticed old shelves leaning on one side, covered in thick layers of gray color that hid their real shape. Some tools lay scattered around, rusted and broken. Everything looked hopeless at first glance, but Armin believed that even broken things could shine again with the right hands. He walked deeper into the garage and spotted a locked side door near the back wall. It looked stronger than the rest of the building, and seemed out of place for such an old structure. Armin felt curious as he touched it. The door was made of heavy metal, with paint peeling slowly like dry skin. There was no keyhole on the outside, but a simple latch that looked newer than the rest of the garage. He wondered why the previous owner never mentioned it, but pushed the thought aside and focused on cleaning first. After 2 hours of sweeping dust and broken wood pieces, he returned to the door and tried to lift the latch again. This time it gave way a little more and made a faint clicking sound. He froze as the latch slid open without much force. His heart beat faster as he pulled the door slowly, and a narrow beam of light spilled out from inside the dark room beyond. Armin stepped in and felt the air change around him. The room looked strangely untouched, as if time had not entered here the same way it had ruined the front area. The walls were smooth and clean, and the ground had no mold or water patches. His eyes adjusted, and he saw large shapes under thick cloth covers lined up in 3 rows. The sight confused him, since he had no idea what the previous owner hid here. He reached for the nearest cover and gently pulled it down. His breath caught in his throat as he stared at a sleek classic car shining under the thin dust layer. It looked like one of those rare models he had seen only in old magazines. Its tires were new, its paint smooth, and its body solid, as if it had been waiting for someone to find it. He moved to the next covered shape and pulled the cloth again. Another rare car appeared, just as perfect as the first. He felt his hands tremble as he realized there were many more in the room. Each cover he removed revealed another beautiful machine that looked priceless. He kept walking between them, amazed and confused. He counted 1, 2, 3, and many more until he reached the end of the row. He leaned against the wall, trying to understand what he had found. These cars were worth far more than anything he had ever seen in his life. He had bought this garage with all his savings, hoping only for a place to work, but instead he found something that could change everything for Mira and for him. He wiped his forehead as a wave of disbelief washed over him. He wondered if this secret collection once belonged to someone important, or if the previous owner had hidden them for some unknown reason. Armin knew he had to check the papers and confirm the legal status before making any decision, but he also felt hope rising in a way he never experienced before. For many years he struggled to give Mira more than just the basics. Now destiny had placed something in front of him that looked like a new beginning. He stood among the silent cars feeling a strange warmth in his chest as he imagined Mira smiling when he shared the news. She always believed her father could make something good out of nothing, and now this place might prove her right. As he closed the secret room and stepped outside, the sunlight touched his face, and he felt a gentle strength inside him telling him this discovery was the start of a story that would take him far from the life he once knew. Armin closed the heavy door behind him and leaned his back against it as his thoughts ran like a fast river. The discovery inside that hidden room kept replaying in his mind, and he still felt unsure if what he saw was real or only a trick of tired eyes. The air outside felt warmer than before, and he walked toward the entrance of the garage where sunlight touched the broken floor. He looked around and tried to calm his breath since he knew he needed a clear head before making any decision. The garage that once felt worthless now held a secret that could change the future of his small family. He imagined Mira at home waiting for him to return, and his heart filled with hope stronger than anything he had known. He decided to step outside for a moment and sit on an old wooden crate near the back wall. The crate creaked but held his weight as he watched a group of birds fly across the sky. He thought about the previous owner and wondered why he never mentioned the cars inside the hidden room. Maybe the man wanted to keep the secret buried, or maybe he had forgotten its value after many years. Armin felt puzzled but also grateful since fate seemed to have chosen him for this strange moment. He looked at the key in his hand and realized that this one small object now opened a door to possibilities he never dreamed of. After resting for a while, he returned inside and walked back to the hidden room. His steps echoed softly as he pushed open the metal door again. The clean, quiet space greeted him with the same calm stillness. He walked between the covered cars and decided to inspect them more closely. He opened the door of one car and found the interior spotless as if someone took care of it every day. The seats were smooth, the panel was polished, and the engine area looked untouched by time. A strange feeling spread through him as he wondered who kept these cars in such perfect condition and why they were left behind in a forgotten garage. He checked another car and found it equally flawless. As he opened the trunk, he discovered a small folder neatly placed inside. His hands shook slightly as he lifted it and opened it. Inside were papers with details of the car, including its original price and ownership history. At the bottom he saw an estimated market value written by someone in bold numbers. The number stared back at him like a bright light, and he felt his breath catch again. This single car was worth more than everything he owned in his entire life. He closed the folder slowly and held it close to his chest, trying to absorb the truth. He placed the folder back and stepped out of the car. He could not stop thinking about Mira and how she would react if she saw even one of these cars. She always admired shiny machines whenever they passed by a showroom window. He wanted to share the news right away, but he also knew he had to stay careful. This discovery was huge, and he still needed to check the legal status of everything before mentioning it to anyone. He walked toward the far corner of the room and noticed a small wooden box resting on a metal shelf. Curious, he picked it up and set it on the floor. The box was light and easy to open. Inside were keys neatly labeled with numbers matching the cars. He felt amazed at how organized everything was and at how untouched the collection seemed. As he sat on the cool floor looking at the keys, he felt a wave of emotion rise in him. Life had been hard for him since Mira was born. He had lost his wife early and had to raise their daughter alone. Some nights he barely slept as he juggled work, repairs, and parenting. Still, he never gave up because Mira gave him strength every day. Now it felt as if life was giving him a chance to finally breathe and build something steady for her. He took a slow breath and whispered a quiet promise to himself that he would use this opportunity wisely. He returned to the main area of the garage and looked around with new eyes. What once looked broken now felt like a treasure chest with a secret waiting to be unlocked. Even the mold on the walls and the cracked floor no longer bothered him. He picked up his broom again and cleaned the front space with more energy. As he swept the corners, he found old newspapers scattered on the ground. One of them had a headline about rare cars auctioned for high prices. The article showed pictures of cars that looked similar to the ones in the hidden room. Armin stared at the images and felt chills run through him. It made him realize that the value of the collection might be even higher than he imagined. He spent the next few hours clearing out trash and dust. While cleaning, he formed a plan in his mind. First, he needed to gather all documents inside the hidden room. Then he would visit a lawyer to confirm ownership and learn what steps he must take to protect the collection. He also wanted to talk to a trusted car expert to get a proper estimate. Armin knew he could not rush anything. He needed patience and careful thinking. One wrong step might cause trouble that he could not handle. Still, the hope in his heart kept growing stronger with each passing moment. As the sun began to set, the golden light spread across the floor and made the room feel warm and peaceful. Armin walked outside and closed the garage door gently. He looked at the sky where shades of orange and red mixed softly. It reminded him that even after long dark times, a bright moment always arrived. He felt tired but satisfied because today was the start of something new. He walked home slowly, replaying everything in his mind. When he reached his small house, he saw Mira sitting by the window waiting for him. Her face brightened as she ran toward him and hugged him tightly. He felt his heart melt as he lifted her in his arms. She asked about his new garage with sparkling curiosity. Armin smiled gently and told her it was old but full of possibilities. He did not mention the hidden room yet because he wanted to make sure everything was safe and official before sharing the truth. Mira seemed happy just hearing that her father now owned a place where he could work. Later that night, as Armin sat on the floor beside Mira, who had fallen asleep, he stared at the dim light in the room and reflected on his long journey. He felt a mixture of gratitude and responsibility. He knew tomorrow he would take the first official step toward understanding the true value of what he found. The world might soon look completely different for him and for Mira. For now, he rested with a peaceful smile on his face, knowing hope had finally walked into his life. The next morning arrived with a soft pale light that slowly filled the sky as Armin prepared himself for a very important day. He woke earlier than usual because his mind refused to rest through the night. Thoughts of the hidden room and the rare cars inside kept moving in circles through his head. He quietly stepped out of bed so he would not wake Mira, who slept peacefully with her small hands curled under her cheek. Armin watched her for a moment and felt his heart strengthen with love and purpose. He wanted to make sure every choice he made from this point would protect their future. He walked to the kitchen and made a simple breakfast while planning his next steps. After getting ready, he left Mira with a trusted neighbor and promised to return soon. He walked toward town with long, steady steps. The warm morning breeze brushed against his face and gave him a sense of confidence. He headed first to a small legal office he once visited when helping a friend. The lawyer there was known for being honest and calm. Armin explained that he had bought an abandoned garage and discovered valuable items inside that were not listed in the sale. The lawyer listened carefully and asked a series of patient questions. Armin answered each one truthfully without hiding anything. The lawyer leaned back and thought for a moment before explaining that anything found on the property usually belonged to the new owner unless a separate claim existed. He suggested checking public records to confirm that the previous owner had no ongoing legal ties to the vehicles. Armin felt relieved hearing this and thanked the lawyer. The lawyer reminded him to move carefully and avoid talking to strangers about the discovery since rare vehicles attracted attention quickly. Armin promised to follow the advice. He then visited the local records office where he searched through property files and previous ownership details. After an hour of reading through old documents, he found confirmation that the garage and everything inside it legally belonged to him. A wave of gratitude rushed through him, and he closed his eyes for a moment as he allowed himself to breathe freely. With legal matters now clearer, Armin headed back toward the garage. His footsteps felt lighter as he imagined Mira playing inside a restored clean workshop one day. When he reached the building, he unlocked the door and stepped inside. The front area still looked messy, but now he saw it as a place ready to transform. He walked straight to the hidden room and opened the heavy door again. The cars inside sparkled gently in the still air. He felt like he had stepped into a silent museum where time held its breath. He walked beside each car, paying attention to every detail. He gently touched the polished surfaces and admired the curves and shapes of the vehicles. He felt a strange bond with them, as if they were waiting for him all this time. He wanted to understand their history more, so he sat down and began reading the documents stored in the trunks. Each folder contained information about the year of design, the first owner, and the estimated value. The numbers were large enough to make his hands tremble again. One car alone could pay for Myra's education and secure their future for many years. Still, Armin did not want to rush into selling anything. He wanted to know the truth behind the collection and why it was hidden in such a strange place. As he turned the pages, he found a small envelope tucked inside one folder. The paper felt old but carefully sealed. He opened it and found a short message written in plain handwriting. It said that these cars once belonged to a collector who lived quietly and did not trust banks. He kept his most prized cars in a hidden room far from the public eye. The note also mentioned that the collector passed away without telling anyone where he kept the vehicles. Somehow the garage changed hands without anyone discovering the secret. Armin felt chills as he read the message. It explained why everything looked untouched yet well preserved. It also meant the previous owner of the garage might not have known the full truth either. This discovery gave Armin more confidence that he could use the cars safely without fear of a claim. As he placed the envelope back, he stood up and walked slowly through the rows again. He imagined how his life could change once he decided what to do with the collection. He thought about restoring the front area of the garage into a working shop and creating a better living environment for Mira. He also considered keeping one or two cars that caught his heart more than the others, since they represented a dream he never thought he would touch. While thinking deeply, he heard soft footsteps echo behind him. He turned quickly but saw no one. The sound seemed to come from the main part of the garage. His heart raced as he stepped out of the hidden room and moved toward the noise. He found an old loose metal sheet swinging gently because of the wind slipping through a broken window. He sighed in relief and laughed quietly at his own fear. The discovery of such great value made him more alert and cautious than ever before. He decided to take pictures of the cars for documentation, but kept them offline since he did not want anyone to discover the truth too soon. After capturing clear images, he stored them carefully in a small locked case. He then spent the next few hours cleaning the secret room, even though it hardly needed much work. He wiped dust from the shelves and arranged the folders neatly. Every small task made him feel more connected to the place and the responsibility it carried. In the afternoon, he took a short break and sat on a wooden stool he found in the corner. He looked around the silent room and allowed himself to smile. Life had finally given him something good after so many years of struggle. He remembered nights when he stayed awake worrying about food bills and school fees. He remembered telling Mira stories of courage and hope because he wanted her to believe that brighter days would come. Now he could see those days rising slowly like dawn on the horizon. After resting, he began planning the next step. He needed an expert who could inspect the cars without spreading the news. He thought of an old friend named Raza who once worked in a showroom and knew a lot about rare vehicles. Raza was honest and trusted Armin deeply. Armin decided he would visit him the next morning. He closed the hidden room and locked the latch securely. Before leaving, he stood still for a moment, letting the weight of the day settle inside him. As he walked home, the sky changed to tones of soft blue and pale gold. He felt tired but hopeful. When he reached his house, Mira ran toward him again and hugged him tightly. She told him about her day with excitement, and he listened with a warm heart. Later during dinner, she asked if she could visit the garage someday. Armin smiled and told her she would see it very soon and she would be surprised at what the place held. That night, Armin lay awake thinking about the journey ahead. The path would not be simple, but he felt ready for every challenge because the future finally carried light and promise. The abandoned garage filled with rats and mold had turned into a doorway of opportunity, and he was determined to walk through it with courage and care. The sun rose gently the next morning, spreading a warm glow across the small town as Armin prepared for another important day. Mira sat at the table eating her breakfast happily while humming a tune she had learned in school. Armin watched her with a soft smile and felt a deep sense of purpose settle in his heart. He wanted her life to be filled with comfort and joy, and now he finally had a chance to give her that. After dropping her off at a neighbor's home, he walked toward the road that led to the old showroom where his friend Rosa worked. The breeze carried the scent of morning air, and his steps felt steady and confident as he imagined the future slowly taking shape. The showroom sat near a busy street lined with shops and small cafes. Armin found Rosa working near the entrance polishing a bright red car. Rosa looked up with surprise and pleasure when he saw Armin walking toward him. They exchanged warm greetings and stood talking for a while. Armin explained that he needed help with something very private and asked if they could speak in a quiet place. Rosa sensed the seriousness in his voice and guided him to a small office behind the showroom. Once inside, Armin described everything from the moment he bought the garage to the moment he discovered the hidden room and the rare cars waiting inside. Rosa listened with wide eyes and a growing look of disbelief. He asked several questions to make sure he understood the full story. When Armin finished speaking, Rosa leaned back and stared at the wall for a long moment. He explained that a collection like that was not only rare but extremely valuable. Some collectors searched their whole lives for even one of those models. Rosa also confirmed that if Armin legally owned the garage and everything in it, then the collection belonged to him as well. Armin felt relief wash over him again, yet he knew he still had many choices ahead, and each choice needed careful thought. Rosa agreed to help, but stressed the importance of secrecy. He said news about rare cars traveled fast and could bring unwanted attention. He promised to visit the garage in the afternoon so he could inspect the vehicles without anyone noticing. Armin thanked him deeply and left the showroom with a heart filled with new hope. He walked back toward the garage feeling both nervous and excited. As he unlocked the door, he stepped inside and began cleaning the front area again, wanting the place to feel more presentable before Rosa arrived. He swept the floor, cleared away broken wood, and stacked old metal sheets in a corner. Every movement felt meaningful because he knew this building now stood at the center of his future. When the afternoon sun started glowing softly, Rosa arrived quietly and joined Armin inside. Together they opened the heavy door to the hidden room. Rosa stopped at the entrance for a long moment, staring at the rows of rare cars with an expression of pure amazement. He stepped inside slowly and moved from one car to another, examining each one with care. He checked the wheels, lifted the hoods, and studied the engines. His face showed respect, as if he were standing before a treasure that carried great history and value. After spending almost an hour looking over every car, he turned to Armin with a calm, determined look. He explained that the cars were well preserved and likely worth more than Armin imagined. Some models were extremely rare, and collectors might pay very high prices for them. Rosa suggested that Armin arrange an appraisal from a trusted expert who worked with private collectors. He also offered to introduce him to a buyer who was known for being truthful and respectful. Armin felt overwhelmed by the possibilities, but trusted Rosa completely. He thanked him and promised to move slowly and carefully. Rosa reminded Armin once more to keep the discovery quiet for now, since even a whisper could attract the wrong people. After Rosa left, Armin closed the hidden room and locked the door. He then walked outside and stood under the open sky, feeling a wave of emotion rise inside him. For years he struggled with worries and sacrifices, but now he felt a path opening before him that led toward stability and peace. He imagined Mira smiling in a new home with warm lights and plenty of space to play. He imagined buying her school supplies, new clothes, and a safe bed without worrying about next month. These dreams made his heart feel full. The next few days passed with steady progress. Armin met the expert Rosa recommended and arranged a private inspection. The expert arrived in an unmarked van and entered the garage quietly. He spent hours studying the cars, writing notes and taking careful measurements. His face stayed calm, but Armin noticed a spark of surprise each time he uncovered a new vehicle. At the end of the inspection, the expert explained that the entire fleet might be worth more than 3.8 million. Armin felt his breath tighten as he heard those words. Life was truly changing faster than he ever expected. The expert offered to connect Armin with a small group of private collectors who might be interested in buying one or more cars. Armin agreed but asked that everything be done with privacy and respect. He wanted to secure a future for Mira, but he also wanted to honor the quiet mystery surrounding the collection. Later that evening, as Armin walked home, he felt a calm sense of direction. He knew what steps to take, and he knew he had trustworthy people guiding him. When he reached home, Mira ran to him with bright eyes and hugged him tightly. Armin lifted her and twirled her gently, making her laugh. He felt warmth fill his heart as he realized he could soon give her a life where laughter came easily and worries faded away. That night, he tucked her into bed and sat beside her for a long time, watching her breathe softly in the peaceful glow of the room. Over the next week, Armin began selling the cars one by one to trusted buyers introduced through the expert and through Raza. Each sale brought him closer to building the life he dreamed of. He bought a small but lovely home for himself and Mira, and began turning the garage into a real workshop. He kept one car from the collection, a simple, elegant model that reminded him of patience, hope, and the power of quiet miracles. As days turned into weeks, the town slowly noticed how Armin's life was changing, though no one knew the full story. They only saw a hard-working father building something meaningful with his own hands. Mira loved visiting the garage and watching her father work. She did not know about the hidden room or the secret fleet, but she felt the happiness and stability growing around them. Armin often stood at the doorway of his workshop in the evening, looking at the sky glowing with soft colors. He felt grateful for the strange blessing hidden behind mold and dust. He promised himself he would use this gift wisely and keep his heart grounded. He knew life rarely offered such chances, and he intended to honor every moment of it. The abandoned garage, once filled with rats and shadows, had become the place where his future began, and the place where he discovered that hope sometimes waited quietly behind the darkest doors.